Hello and welcome to the Unconventional Podcast with Grace Hardy. Today we have Jaycie on, which is really exciting. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So would you like to give a little introduction to the listeners?
Of course. I'm Jaycie. I'm 22. I have done social media for about 3 years now. And off the back of that, I started my own social media management agency.
Which is incredible. So well done.
Thank you so much.
How did you get started posting on social media? What spurred it on?
Yeah, so my journey on Instagram has been quite different to what it is now. It started in a very negative way. It wasn't there for a good reason. I struggled quite a lot with disordered eating when I was about 17 to 19. And I used Instagram as a food diary, which saying now sounds so weird because I'm a completely different person to who I was back then. But it was more like a diary for me to just keep track of everything that I was doing, everything I was eating. It just wasn't healthy. But I did that for about 6 months and then I decided to stop because I realised it had gone a bit too far. And I went in my own social media for about 6 months after that. So I took a complete break.
And so what made it feel like it was unhealthy? Because I've been through disordered eating as well. But I had a literal diary where I would write all of my food.
Exactly. It was probably the same thing. Mine was just online for everyone to see, which is very different.
And so how did people take that? Did some people take that as like very inspiring and helping them on their own journey?
I mean, at the beginning, I think I hid it quite well. Like it was very much disguised in the whole healthy eating, high protein, all of that kind of world on Instagram, which was very prevalent back then. It's a lot more healthier on there now. Like you realise when you go online that people have a lot better mindsets around food. But back then, it was very much disguised as I'm just being healthy, this is really good for me, when really, like deep down, it was just coming from a very disordered place. People were quite supportive. I think everyone was going through their own journeys as well, and we were all trying to navigate that together, and it was quite scary for someone to come forward and say, hold up, this is not good for us, which is what I decided to do when I came back to social media. I decided to stop all of that, kind of cut out the BS and show people what an actual healthy relationship with food looked like.
And I think that's so important because not enough people do that, especially if you look at Anna Archer, for example. She did the same thing.
Exactly.
She was posting all that sort of stuff and then took a break and came back and said, look, I've really been struggling with X, Y, Z. And I think that's so amazing for you to do because it takes a lot of guts to say that to a lot of people.
It was scary. I mean, she was such a huge inspiration to me. Like I followed her literally since day one, and her journey has helped so many people. And yeah, taking that first step to actually come out and say, I've been struggling is so scary, but the feedback you get from that is just like overwhelming, and it pushes you to keep going because you realise how many people are going through the same thing and how many people that's helped by you just saying, look, I needed help and it's okay for you to need help as well.
And I think that's so important because I don't think we realise how many people go through that, especially as young teenagers in this world where it's very much about what you look like.
Exactly, it's so sad. And even like you, when you opened up to me about your journey, like you'd never know that just from looking at someone. So it's so great for you to share that as well. It's just so inspiring.
Yeah, but I think it needs to be sort of more talked about in a sense because like I don't speak about it very publicly online because I just choose not to.
Yeah.
But the more we speak about things that are potentially not as nice as they look online, then the better everyone else will feel because a lot of people put you on a pedestal being like, oh, they're so amazing, they're doing this and they're doing that, but they don't know the sort of personal battles that you're going through.
Exactly. Everything on social media is such a highlight reel. Like even I try to show like the most real parts of my life and all the ups and downs and all the negatives, all the positives, but I can even see when I scroll down my page, like there's some things that just don't show as much as I want them to. Like if I'm having a really down day, I don't feel like showing up online.
But also I think it's difficult as well. Like I know when I went through a really bad breakup, it was really terrible. I literally spent about 3 days in bed bawling my eyes out. But I was running my business at the time and I remember going downstairs to make breakfast, Nutella on toast, obviously, because what else are you going to eat? My eyes were just streaming, and so I decided to do a video on TikTok and talk about how difficult it is to be a solo business owner when things aren't going right in your life, whatever it may be. It's really difficult because you still have to show up every day. Because if you stop working, then the business stops working.
Exactly, and it's the same thing, even if you don't feel well or you're sick, everything is on your shoulders, so you literally can't stop. No. And no one sees the emotional side of it that goes behind it. Everyone thinks you're a strong
independent woman.
Exactly. But really, we're all just girls.
We're all just girls. I'm lying in bed with box of tissues and my jelly cats.
Help.
Watching Gilmore Girls, bawling my eyes out. But it's so important that it's talked more about and shown more. But it's very difficult to draw the line of what's oversharing and what's not, because not everyone needs to know that I'm going through a breakup. But also it's important for other people to know that it's not 100% positive all of the time.
Exactly. It's finding that balance and just showing the best of both worlds and just being real.
100%. And so at what point did you realise that your following has started to grow massively?
I mean, it was quite steady at the beginning. I'm trying to think how long it took for me to hit like 10k followers. I think it was 5 months, which...
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, back then that was actually really quick, but people grow so quickly right now. So yeah, the dynamic of followers like online has changed so much.
No, it's more difficult to grow on Instagram now.
Exactly. Instagram's so much more difficult than TikTok, and everyone looks at numbers, which is just, I don't know, it's so sad because it's so much more about community for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, my following grew quite quickly when I opened up about the struggles that I've been through, because I feel like they were just really relatable. It brought me out of my content a lot more. Like from posting food pictures and recipes, no one knew who I was.
Yeah.
But when I started opening up, people got to know me, and then I got to know other people and build that sense of community, which really just kind of skyrocketed from there.
And I think community is so important nowadays because we're all on our phones or tablets or whatever it may be all the time. And
sometimes
sometimes
see my screen time.
You just see my screen time. And I've got 2 phones, so it's double bad. But it's really important that we find a sense of community and other people that we can relate to, because
100%.
Sometimes we're not seeing them in person, we're only seeing them online.
Exactly. So, but I feel like those relationships that you build are really strong as well, because you see what everyone's getting up to all the time, so you know them. Even though you haven't met them, you still know them, and that's a really nice feeling.
It is. And so how many friends have you managed to find off
So
Instagram
many.
that were sort of going through the same thing as you and like gave you support?
It's quite sad to say, but in real life I didn't really have that many like friends around me. So everyone that I'm friends with now has been through social media, and we've all kind of supported each other through that growth journey. Everyone's at completely like different stages, so we all kind of pushed each other along. People could really help me by showing me how far ahead they were and how amazing their lives were if I was a few stages behind them. So that was really great to see, like this, I don't know, this bright future that could possibly be ahead of me.
Yeah, like the road of recovery.
Exactly. When you're at the beginning stages, that's really, really helpful. And the same thing when people are at the beginning, it's really helpful for other people to see that it's okay to struggle and it's okay to take a step backwards. So yeah, I mean, having people at different stages of their recovery journeys and just, I don't know, healing themselves and self-love is just really great, because it just proves to you that there is no linear journey. And yeah, everyone's just in it together.
And I think that's so true. And how much did you think that helped support your recovery? Because obviously when you're stuck there in that really dark place, you can't see yourself getting better.
Exactly. When you're on your own, that's literally your whole world. Like you don't realise there's another world that you could be enjoying out there. And you're so stuck in that mindset of this is it. Like this is my life. And it's really not. And seeing other people have the life that you want to live just lets you know that it's out there and it's real and you can get there, and I promise you can get there.
I think I battled disordered eating for 4, maybe 5 years, and it was a very dark time in my life, and I literally couldn't see the way out, and for years I struggled so much. I was in and out of hospital and all that sort of stuff, and so when I got social media later on, I then saw people who were recovering like yourself, and it gave me so much hope, because I was so stuck, and all the people around me that I met were also stuck, and it just felt like I couldn't see anyone around me that had gone through the same thing as me but come out the other side.
Yeah, and seeing that on social media is why it's such a good place. I mean, there's a fine line on social media. Sometimes it can make you feel like absolute crap, and sometimes it can help you so much, but it's finding the right people to follow. And yeah, I feel like everyone in this space just shows you like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm so proud of you, by the way.
Proud of you too.
Thank you.
And so at what point did Instagram turn from just helping people into a job?
Wow. I mean, it's happened very slowly. I feel like when you look at social media now and you look at influencers now, they look like they're living these amazing lives and have so much money and are just completely free. And it hasn't really been like that for me.
If you're here because you're interested in a career in finance, there's no better place to turn than AAT. I should know, that's how I started out. Every year, thousands of school leavers, finance professionals, and career changers choose to study AAT qualifications. They come out with a qualification that employers value, increased salary potential, and a wide range of career progression opportunities. Did you know know a large number of FTSE 100 CEOs come from an accountancy background? You can study at home or in the classroom. Depending on your circumstances, you may be able to get your studies funded. You can also earn and learn in the workplace as an accounting apprentice. Find out more about careers in finance at aac.org.uk/unconventional.
I started earning a little bit of money just through like general commission and all of that kind of stuff, where I'd sell products or brands using a discount code. So I did that for a few months, and that's when I first saw that I could actually make like a little bit of money. I never intended for it to be a job. I left university, I wanted to become a medical illustrator, so I was just, I was stuck in this middle realm of this is my hobby, but actually, could it be more than that? But I never tried to pursue it, and then I had a few brands kind of start reaching out to me, and I was like, this is insane.
Me?
No, literally me out of everyone. But it's what you grow up kind of watching, like you grow up watching all the YouTubers, you grow up watching Zoella, and you're like, I wish that could be me one day, but like it's just never gonna happen. And then you start getting messages from brands, and you start making adverts, and you start getting gifted, and it's just kind of a big thing of imposter syndrome. But it started to become, it's never been consistent, but it started to bring an income in, I'd say about a year and a half ago.
And what was your following like then?
It must have been around 150k. I think. I'm literally just pulling that number out of my head. I really can't remember. But I did a few advertisements with, I don't know if you know of Later, they're like a scheduling platform.
Yes.
I did one with them, and I did a really cool campaign with Dove, which is amazing. It was like a mental health campaign.
I love that.
So yeah, I only ever accept things that are really like super aligned to me.
But I think that's really important.
It's definitely
is that
important.
when you're building a personal brand, especially online, when you get offered things, you have to make sure they align. I've said no to brand deals because I'm like, I've literally never used that product in my entire life, and it's not something I would ever promote, and I'm gonna have to say no. Yeah,
you have to stick so true to yourself, and it's so difficult to get your head around, because you could look at an email and be like, that's so much money. That would literally change the direction of where I'm going on social media, but you have to stick to your guns and be like, no, this does not align with me. My audience and their trust are so important, and I would never push out a product that I actually don't love to them. So yeah.
And I think that's so true. And especially now you've done that, and now you've got your deal with Nike, which is absolutely incredible. So well done.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much. Yeah, it couldn't actually be more perfect, which is, it's just crazy to me. And I feel like I manifested that through everything that I've said no to and everything that hasn't worked out, for brands to really understand the purpose of my platform, and to really understand that I've got so many young girls following me, and to just target something that's actually going to help them, rather than just being like, spend your money here. It's a whole campaign about girls, just empowering girls to love their body and to look at sport in a healthy mindset, which I still find quite difficult to do. So it's helping me as well. And I feel like sharing that journey is just amazing.
And I think that's such an important campaign to have, especially with like the rise of like running clubs and like the gym aesthetic and all that sort of stuff, it's because that's great to look after yourself and be healthy. And I need to go to the gym because I had knee surgery. I need to figure that out and strengthen it so my physio doesn't scream at me. But it's also a very fine line between then finding yourself running to get skinny.
Exactly, or just running for the sake of it because everyone else is doing it, and you realise you don't actually enjoy it, which is...
You're just doing it to jump on the trend.
Exactly, and I used to do that. I used to be so addicted to running, and literally, I used to be a waitress, and I'd do like 20,000 steps a day, and then I'd get up at 7 o'clock to go for a run before my shift. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Are you unwell?
I was. Not anymore. But that's what, so I just had a very unhealthy relationship with running, and it's so cool to be able to heal that from 100% a positive place.
And I think you're such a perfect person to have on that campaign as well. So I'm like so proud of you. When you texted me, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
I still can't believe it.
No, I think it's great. And so you were doing Instagram sort of at the time of university.
Yes. So I started my page, I think, in my third year, and I was just doing it as a hobby. I mean, university was very full on in the third year. That's when I was doing my dissertation and all of that stuff. I did university during COVID as well. So the first... Yeah.
How was that?
It was not fun. Where my degree was very hands-on, it was photography, so I needed to be in the studio a lot, and I needed to use the darkroom and all of the stuff, and the facilities were just completely cut off.
Oh my goodness.
I literally couldn't do anything, so yeah, it wasn't a fun time. But the third year we were allowed back in, and I was doing my dissertation, and I decided to do Instagram on the side just to kind of keep me sane. Yeah. And it was like my creative outlet, even though I was doing a creative degree. Photography is very different in that sense, and it was very draining. So I used Instagram as my little place to just be actually who I was and to be creative. And yeah, when I finished university, I kind of used that to get a foot in the door, in a sense, in applying for jobs.
And so how did your photography degree help you when you started applying for jobs once you left?
Yeah, so I mean, photography, I did it as a kind of cop out.
What did you want to do?
I mean, I wanted to do medical illustration. Well, let's go back to day one. So in school, I wanted to do medicine. I was torn between doing biology, chemistry, maths at A-level or going to college and doing art
so
and design.
brainy.
Not anymore.
So brainy.
Not anymore.
Don't put yourself down like that.
Thank you. So yeah, and everyone was like, why on earth are you going to go to college when you can, I don't know, do A-levels and go and do medicine and all this stuff? And I was like, I just don't enjoy it. Like, my heart is in being creative. So I took the leap and I went to college to do art and design. And then at the end of that, I was a bit like, what have I done? Have I made a mistake here? Because finding a creative job is just so hard. So then I decided to do a degree. And I did photography, even though I'd never done photography really before. That was my hobby. I was more of like a painter, drawer, that kind of vibe. So yeah, I did photography as a degree and I loved it. I could have learned everything online myself very easily.
Did you feel like you might have wasted your student loan a little bit?
My biggest regret probably was going to university because it was literally pointless, and sometimes I still don't know how to use my camera, so I'm like...
Do you know what? Me too. I learned everything I know on YouTube.
Exactly, and it's such a good outlet, like everything's free and you can learn so much on there. But yeah, I definitely regret going to university, but I guess it kind of worked in my favour because I do kind of do photography now in my day-to-day life. Yeah, my initial goal was to go and do a postgrad in medical illustration or clinical photography. That never happened because I obviously needed money after university and just started applying for jobs on Indeed, and that's where my social media kind of came into it. I saw social media management jobs coming up quite a lot, so I kind of used my Instagram as a portfolio and was like, oh, I can do this for you as well.
Yeah.
Even though I probably couldn't
You
at
could.
that time.
You
I could.
could.
Yeah. I've grown so much since then. I've learned so much since then. So looking back on that is like, she was just a child. Yeah, I applied for so many jobs on there, got turned down from so many until I landed an internship at a very, very small business. It was just one woman and I run her Instagram and TikTok for 8 weeks, I think it was. And from being hands-on in that environment, I learned so much. I learned everything about social media on a different level. Obviously, doing it for yourself is so different from doing it for a brand.
Yeah.
But I did so many things wrong.
What were the biggest mistakes you made whilst you were running her accounts?
I guess I just didn't have the confidence in myself, which made me second guess everything I was doing. And I spent so long on every single post, and sometimes that doesn't work on social media. Like, social media is so real and people don't want to see adverts all the time, and people don't want to see
They don't want
brands.
to realise that it's an advert.
Exactly, and that's what I didn't understand at that time. So yeah, my biggest mistake was probably trying to make everything so perfect, and it really didn't have to be that way because people just love, people love authenticity. So yeah, that was probably my biggest mistake. The amount of time I spent on the post versus the amount of views they'd get would really kind of get me down, because it's, you spend 3 hours on a post for it to get 100 views, and it's like, I'm
and
not
sometimes
good
I
enough.
spend 7 seconds just like lip syncing something and it gets like 10k views, and I'm like, sick one, love that
Thanks
for me.
that. But yeah, it's very difficult to balance kind of mentally, because the amount of work you put in versus the results, it's just so temperamental. Like, you can never expect it.
No, and I think that's something that's so true for so many business owners as well, is that they spend so much time trying to build their platforms, and it's so disheartening when consistently things are getting stuck at the 200 view jail or something like that, and it's so difficult not to take that personally. But I think the thing that I've learned is to just reassess the situation. Is this actually helping someone's pain point? Is this like vanity posting? And if it's one of those things, then obviously it's not going to work.
Exactly. You need to look at your content from an outside perspective, because obviously the post that you post means so much to you, and you're like, I understand the background to all of this. I know this means this, but no one else knows that.
Yeah.
It's looking at content from an outside perspective and just not taking it to heart and just having fun with it more. Just, putting stuff out there and just seeing what happens, rather than worrying like, this needs to get this many views, etc., etc.
Yeah, and I think once you take that pressure off, then it's so much easier to just grow and then keep doing things that work well. Because you can basically repost something, but just with different pictures or different captions, because not everyone has seen that one video.
Exactly. I used to get stuck in that a lot as well with my own content, because to film new content every single day is quite difficult.
And you post a lot.
Yeah, I used to post daily. I posted every single day for about 2 years, which was crazy. But yeah, I learned to kind of reuse content during that, because not everyone's going to see every post and no one remembers. You probably don't remember the TikToks that you scrolled through yesterday. So exactly.
Guilty.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, it's kind of understanding that.
And so following on from that internship, did
Yes.
you decide that you wanted to stay in social media? Are you running a business? Meet your new best friend, Sage Accounting Individual. Whether you're testing an idea, managing a side hustle, or running a full-time sole trader business, Sage makes digital record keeping a breeze. You can connect your bank, categorize transactions, and create professional invoices in seconds, and send them to your client in a click. Understand your profits, track who owes you money, and get your taxes sorted all from your phone or computer. Need a helping hand? Get instant support from our Sage specialist via web chat or connect with an expert accountant like me for expert business advice. With Sage, you can focus on what matters, growing your business, while Sage Accounting Individual handles transactions and taxes. It's the perfect partnership to unleash your business potential. Join over 1.2 million businesses already using Sage. You can start today for free by going to sage.com/UK/sage-individual and unleash your business potential today.
Yes. From there, I mean, I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun, and it's so freeing to just be creative all the time, especially for other people as well. When you're doing it for yourself, you can sometimes be so harsh on yourself, and like it's all about you. So you're
your own worst enemy.
Exactly. So doing it for other people kind of takes, although you obviously want to please them and impress them and do everything right for them, it takes that barrier away from being on it 24/7. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that whole internship experience. And when that ended, I started looking for other ones, which again proved very difficult. I feel like it was in the stage where social media management was just becoming huge. Like you see it on TikTok now, every other post is how to become a social media manager, how to do all this stuff. So everyone was trying to do it. So it was a very difficult space to get into. So I just continued with my social media and just kind of rode the wave for a little bit. And then I saw someone that I followed. She had her own social media management agency and she was looking to hire someone. So I applied, really hoping that I would get it. Obviously, it was my dream at that point, and I did. And
well done.
Thank you so much. And I feel like that's where everything kind of changed from there, because I was like, oh, I can actually do this for a job. Like, it's not just a part-time thing to get me through the post-university years. So.
And what was your biggest lessons learned from that time at the job?
From the time at the social media management agency, it was just, I don't know, the two girls that I worked for were just so inspirational, and it was so good for me to see people having fun with their job and having time to actually do stuff rather than being tied down in a 9-to-5 in an office. Like, they could take a day off on a Tuesday if they wanted to. I mean, they definitely didn't because they worked so hard, and I feel like, again...
But if she wanted to, she could.
Exactly, if she wanted to, she probably could. Yeah, it was just that whole element of just kind of being free and being able to go to a restaurant and just film content, just something that you generally do for fun, but now it's your job.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just learned so much there, especially from being an intern and kind of teaching myself hands-on. It was nice to have a mentor to show me how to do everything properly and show me what worked and what didn't work and how to handle those relationships with other people as well. Going through university in COVID, I was like completely alone, barely even spoke to my teachers. So it was very difficult to come out of that and be faced with so many people that you now have to speak to and understand how to build like
client relationships with.
Exactly. So it just taught me so much.
And I think communication with your clients is so important in any business, because if your client is happy, then it makes your life easier.
Exactly.
And if your client is unhappy, then you need to know how to navigate that in the best way possible.
Exactly, and that's something that I'm still learning. I mean, it's so difficult because it feels like there's a weight on your shoulders if something's wrong. So it's just opening up and being honest with everyone and just saying, like, this is how it is. We're going to change it in this sense, because you obviously have down months. You obviously have months where the Instagram isn't going as well and the posts haven't blown up, and it's about teaching them. It's about learning how to communicate that to them in a way that they understand and just making sure everyone's happy.
And also setting expectations is really important, because social media is so volatile. Like, you could post one day and it get 100 views. You could post it another day and it could get 10k.
Exactly. Like, even an example with one of our clients yesterday, we had a lot of their posts have been getting under 10k views, and then we posted one on Tuesday and it's over 1 million views, and it's
oh my god, love that for you.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. I woke up this morning and I saw it, I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. But like, you never expect it, so it's great when something like that happens, but then there's always going to be a dip after, and it's navigating that dip and explaining to people that, oh, it's actually not that bad, like, this is how it's meant to be, it just happens.
And so what tips would you give to business owners or people trying to grow their social media listening?
Okay, so just have fun with it. literally just have fun with it. Show your personality. I feel like that's so important, to just bring a face to a brand and show who you are, because people relate to that so much and they invest in you rather than investing in a company. So I feel like that's so important, just to be real. I mean, have a consistent schedule.
Yeah.
But don't put pressure on yourself to push content out if it's not good.
Yeah.
Like
quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity, that good old quote. But yeah, I feel like that's really important. And yeah, again, just having fun with it, like jumping on all the trends.
Exactly, because they're so much fun.
Exactly.
What made you take the next step to start your own business?
It was a difficult one because I loved that job so much. And I guess it gets to the point where you think, I can do this myself, in the sense of I can have a lot more freedom with my time. Having to show up for other people it actually really helped me in sticking me to a schedule. But I also have always been a very like alone person, and I just love, I don't know, organising my own time.
Working on your own routine for you.
Exactly. And not having deadlines in a sense of, I need to meet this by 10 a.m. tomorrow, and then stressing yourself out like crazy. It was more of a sense of, I just really wanted to just navigate my own time myself. So I decided to take that leap into starting my own social media management agency.
And so how did you go around finding your first clients?
Okay, so I put together a portfolio from all of the work I'd done, again on my own social media and now for these other businesses, and put together a little presentation on Canva.
Love that.
I mean, looking back now, again, it wasn't the best thing, but it
you
worked.
have to start somewhere.
Exactly, and that's the thing. You can't be too hard on yourself. Like everyone, the whole point of doing stuff yourself and getting hands-on is just learning, and you'll always find stuff to improve on, and you'll always be growing. So that's great. But yeah, I just emailed that to probably hundreds of businesses, just like in my local area, in London, everywhere, and just hoped that someone would reply. And it took a while, and it does get you down quite a lot because everyone pretty much just ignores your emails, which is fine. But I had a couple get back to me. One was within the first month, which was great.
Well done.
Thank you so much. I mean, it was definitely very underpaid, but in the time you're like, oh my goodness, someone actually wants to work with me. So it was great. So you just take anything. But no, that was fun. And I feel like it's quite good to get in at a kind of lower level, just so that you can learn, because I'm still learning. I was still learning then. So you can kind of go in without any crazy expectations and charging so much money and being like, I'm going to get you these results, when you're still learning it yourself. And it's good to be open with that to your clients as well. So yeah, I got one within the first month, which was really cool. And then once I'd learned a little bit more and kind of got the hang of doing everything myself, I continued reaching out, and then it slowly just trickled on from there. I think I got my next one in the next 2 months, and then yeah, it just kind of kept going, which is crazy.
No, it is, but it's so wonderful, and I think realistic as well. I think there's a lot of stuff on TikTok where people are like, I went from 0 to 5k months in 2 weeks, and this is how you can do it too.
Yeah, and it doesn't work like that.
No, and I don't think it's like, if you have high ticket products, then yes, maybe, because maybe that's only 2 clients. But if you're at the lower end, it happens steadily, and you win clients and you lose clients.
Exactly, and no one shows that side of it.
No, and it's so organic, and that's what I love about your business, is you've just done it all yourself from scratch, which I think is so amazing.
Yeah, no, it's been difficult. It has been difficult, and you definitely, again, like you said, you compare yourself to so many people online and the other social media management agencies, and you're like, why am I not growing as fast as them, or why do I not have X amount of clients? But it's all about understanding what you can actually handle yourself as well, and putting your all into everyone, and yeah, just making sure that you're getting the best results for everyone rather than chasing those high ticket months. So.
Exactly, and sometimes you think you can handle a certain amount of clients, and then realistically you actually can't, because it's taking the quality from other clients, and then those clients aren't happy and they're more likely to leave, whereas you need to find what's comfortable for you.
Exactly, and that takes a lot of work, and I feel like I only have recently found that, and it's been 2 years now.
And what's been your biggest challenges whilst growing your business?
It's definitely a blessing to work for yourself, and it's something that I would never take for granted. But I do not have time anywhere. A lot of people don't see that on my social media as well. I don't really talk about my business on my social media.
You must have so much time because you're posting all the time.
Exactly, but I don't. So yeah, that's definitely been my biggest challenge, is how to navigate that. And like you said, like taking on more than you can handle. I've done that way too many times, and I constantly say yes to things that I can't do. And then it's just like, why did I do this to myself? But yeah, you just don't have as much freedom as people think that you do.
I mean, I've worked more hours in this job than I've ever worked in my entire life.
Exactly, and people don't see that. And it does get you down sometimes, because again, being on both sides of things, like being in the influencer industry and being in the social media management industry, I compare myself to social media managers, and then I compare myself to influencers. And it's like, they're on holiday all the time. They're having so much fun. And I haven't left the country in like 2 years.
But if you look at it from an outsider's point of view into your social media, it looks like you're on holiday all the time. Because you I saw that really adorable cabin you went to the other week and everything like that. And so it's like always taking a step back, because I do it as well. I go, oh, I never do anything. All I do is work from my desk. And then I did a talk at a school the other week and I had someone come up to me and go, how are you always on holiday? And I went, I haven't been on holiday in months.
It's difficult because, again, like we said earlier, from an outsider's perspective, you don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. And like, to go on that 2-day holiday, I had to work 5 days before 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. every single day to be able to take 2 days off, which I don't show online. So yeah, it's just never really believing what you see. No,
and that's so true as well. Like, every time I'm like, oh, I'd really like half a day off. I'm like, well, that's my evening gone, and that's an early morning start.
Exactly. It's just balancing your time, which is so difficult. But I've started just doing like general to-do lists, which has really helped.
That is, and I break my to-do list down by ASAP, client work. Important. Yeah, literally. Client work, admin, social media, and podcast.
Yeah. And it's really good to kind of organise your head in that way.
Completely. Otherwise it's all in your head, and it's just better to get it on paper.
100%.
But what have you been doing to look after yourself personally whilst growing a business and posting on social media? Don't say nothing.
Trying to think.
As someone who started my own accountancy business, I know how exciting and challenging it can be. If you're looking to follow a similar path, Informe is here to help. A free website powered by AAT, Informe provides free guidance to empower small businesses to make more informed decisions. Informe will help unlock your inspiration and turn your idea into a reality, and navigate the non-stop challenges of running a business from start up to scale up. Find out more at informe.co.uk/unconventional.
I mean, I'm such like a quality time person. So again, when I do have time, I try and even take like Sunday mornings or the whole of Sunday to just completely rest and shut off. And I will just lay in bed and just like sleep and watch YouTube and just kind of completely relax. So I try to do that on Sundays. But otherwise, to kind of look after myself, I'm trying to actually think if I do that so bad.
I have 2 separate phones. Okay, so when I started my business, I was like, I had everything on one phone, and so if a TikTok was to blow up, or I've got all the emails coming through at 1 a.m, I'd be on my phone anyway, like FaceTiming my sister or one of my friends. And then I'd be like, oh my God, it's on my mind, so I have to reply. So I bought another phone, a work phone. So all my clients and social media is on that phone. But now I carry 2 phones with me everywhere.
So now it defeats the point, doesn't it? Because
like I went to go see my friends in Bournemouth for a festival. It was a weekend and I had like a lot of work on. And I was sat when they were having prees with these 2 phones and typing away, scheduling posts, answering client like messages, and they were looking at me like I was the biggest weirdo in the entire world. And they're the most supportive girls ever, and I love them so dearly. But I just like reflected on that in the drive home and went, I could have just, no, I can't be doing that. I should have just put that phone away and like been way more in the moment. But for me, it was really scary because I was going to this festival. That was an entire day off work. And for me, I had so much on. I was like, I can't take an entire day. So this morning, whilst all the girls are drinking, I'll do some work, but I'll be there. But I wasn't, because I wasn't present.
In the moment. I feel like it's really important to schedule in that off time, even if you put it in your diary as if it's work. To schedule it in. I mean, I went to play tennis with my friend on Tuesday, and the day before I was kind of like, I really shouldn't be going. I've got so much to do. Like, I'm going to be so stressed the whole time. I'm just going to be thinking about how my to-do list is growing. But when you get there and you actually think, no, I'm going to switch off because it will help me be more productive later as well. If you have that time to like actually rest. And I enjoyed it so much. So I feel like, so I feel like that's how I kind of protect my mental health, is scheduling in that off time as if it's work.
And I think that's so true. I've been doing that as well. I've been scheduling in my calendar as well, because it got to the point where I was so overwhelmed because I hadn't been writing enough stuff on my to-do list and it wasn't getting ticked off because more things were being added on, that I was meant to go up to North Yorkshire for a friend's birthday. And I had a little bit of a mentee bee and was like, I can't go because I have to drive 4.5 hours there, be there overnight, wake up early, drive 4.5 hours back, and then when am I meant to work? But I did it. My mum was like, Grace, come on now. You can go, like, you're 21 years old, please just go to the birthday party. And I was like, okay. And I didn't take my work phone out once. I didn't take my laptop out. Oh my God, it was so nice.
I bet you felt so
I just
free.
like felt like a normal girl, which
Yeah.
I like loved so much.
Yeah.
And then I came home and I opened it to all these messages and I was like, oh, a bit overwhelmed, but I'm so glad I took that time out.
Exactly. And then when you get back to do it as well, it's like, okay, I can do this because I've had my time. I feel refreshed.
Exactly.
And then you just get on with it. That's the thing that I always tell myself when I get stressed as well. It always works out. Every time I've been like, oh, I have this deadline to meet, I don't think I'm going to do it. There's never been a time where it's gone wrong because you always get it done somehow.
True. I don't know how, like when the first episode of this podcast launched, I was stressed out of my eyeballs. I called my mum, like really upset, being like, it's not all going to be done in time. She was like, I know what you're like, it will be. And I was like, but it won't. And she was
really
like, it will.
Like, I don't know how I'm physically going to do it, but you always do.
I was like, there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
But you do. You're like, I've just magicked 3 hours.
Exactly. And now you kind of forget about all the stress that you went through anyway. So that's another thing, is never stress as much. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't waste 5 minutes stressing about it.
And I think when you start your business, your stress threshold is so low.
Yeah.
And things that would have stressed me out 6 months ago don't bat an eyelid now.
Exactly.
And so my stress threshold has just been increasing over time. And obviously I get stressed now, but not over the little things.
Exactly. You realise
it's not important.
It's not that deep. Okay.
What is a piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
I would say to her, just don't give up and don't listen to other people around you. As much as you care about other people's opinions, like it's literally your life. And if you want to do something and you want to do something outside of the norm, or you want to do something that everyone's like, what are you doing? Just do it. Like, trust yourself, know that it always works out. It literally always works out. And even if it's not what you expected it to be, that's the path that you're meant to go down. So just trust the process.
I love that. That is so beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed that.